Hello everyone, apa khabar? Welcome back to FPL Jedi Show. It is pot for Game Week 10. My name is Hafiz and I would like to welcome Azmin to the stream. How's your feeling after Game Week 9?
I'm okay. Just here and thereabouts. I was a bit worried going into the last game of the match week, which was the Spurs game. But fortunately, I got out with it. Still not as bad as I thought I would be.
All right. For everyone info, supposedly Afosz should be joining our stream, but he's actually outstation and couldn't make it. But nevertheless, the show will go on. And this week, interesting man, is Game Week 10 as planned. I'm wildcarding this week. So I have
Yep.
already activated my chip.
So I'm the last among the three of us. I'm the last person who has yet to activate the wildcard. So let's see how that pans out.
Well, you still have not activate your wildcard, but maybe you could still open to it.
This week, at the moment, I'm still okay. I feel the main the main thing I want to get rid of is Rashford really, and maybe a keeper. So I think I need I think it's time that I do something about the keeper situation.
All right, fair. Let's jump straight. What is the talking point for Game Week 10? We will run through how our team performed in Game Week 9. We'll take a look at some stats in terms of Game Week 9 performance before we look at the fixture swing moving forward from Game Week 10 onwards, of which also on item 4, we will look at some of the wildcard draft, because the talking point for this week, for sure, a lot of managers are looking at wildcarding Game Week 10. Okay, there's some already activated in Game Week 8. Afosz already activated in Game Week 9. But I think this is another week of which a lot of managers will pull that trigger for sure, dumping the likes of Manchester United assets and bring on whoever going to have a better fixture moving forward. Later we'll touch on that. We'll look at Game Week 10 fixture. The captain pick for this week, for sure, man, I think we can talk about it. We can see on the right picture, always we talk about Haaland, but now we are moving on, talking to another player, the forgotten man, but the king is back. Mo Salah could be the one that we should really looking at moving forward, and the transfer plan for this week. So Afosz is not around, so I'll just run through his team because he's wildcarded and he actually scored the highest this week. I'm pretty sure if he's in the stream, he will be delighted with this result with 93 points. And the average point for this week is 67. So you can see there's really a big jump in terms of rank for him from 2.8 million to 1.6 million. So what he did in his wildcard team, he still keep the trio Spurs as the core for his team. The likes of Madison, the likes of San and Pedro perform and return points for Afosz. 14 points from San, Madison 9, and also Pedro Porro 6 points. He still stick with Christian Trippier, who actually has performed for the past 5 game weeks, 4 or 5. Another double digit from him. It will be hard, especially for like me, who has Trippier also in his team, to actually not having him in, if you want to support in other or distribute your fund to other players. Trippier continue to tick another 10 points from him. Other than that, he has Turner and Arula combo. Both scored the same point, 1 point. No difference there. Cash only 2 points. But I think there's another one, Bowen, who are already into conversation in the community. Moving forward, especially in wildcard team, to have Jared Bowen. He actually scored a goal, even though West Ham lost big against Aston Villa. He actually scored 8 points. 1 bonus point there. Salah continued to tick for sure, 16 points. Afosz could easily have a bigger week if he actually continued to captain Salah, but he actually captain Haaland like other manager. 16 points. Alvarez another player that continue perform with 9 points, 3 bonus points from him, a goal, and then Foster. Afosz do not have Watkins. Can you imagine if he has Watkins inside his team? So pretty much an excellent week for Afosz, mate.
It's a great week. I guess it's a case of just you arguably the best players of that week. He didn't have them, which is he had Watkins and in an extra extent Douglas Lewis, but then he made up more than made up for it, and it turns out he's good. His team looks pretty much good moving forward to the following weeks. And the only drawback for him, I guess, was the keeper again. His current keeper's not stepping up to it. But and having the right Spurs defender seems to have worked for him. Well, not to say the right one, but a better one than Udogie simply by virtue of points. Although I have to, there is a concern as to how I haven't read much yet in terms why they subbed him out. Was there an issue or was it technical?
I could tell you now. Postecoglou did mention that Udogie feel something like tightness. So after Spurs scored the second goal, he feels that Udogie is logical to take it out and avoid any injury.
Okay, so that's a good thing I would say, because it's just for precaution and not because of tactical issues, which is the thing. Because in the previous game, he did sub out Udogie in this 80 something minutes or something, leaving Pedro Porro. So yeah. But overall, Afosz, well done. I'm glad. I think most of your decisions came right. The only people who didn't return was Turner, Cash, and Foster, but everyone else more than made up for it. And I'm glad to see that all his subs did, still return a point. So if anything unexpected happens, hopefully the subs can still come in and do a job.
Yep, I imagine Afosz will roll his transfer for this week, and then focus on game week 11. I think that's his transfer plan. Let's go to my team. Okay, I do not have Salah, because Afosz and you have Salah in your team, right? But I do not have Salah. So we shall see how my team perform. Not bad with 84 points without Salah. Yeah, right. So I'm glad where I recover without Salah. I can say Mbomo is the player who actually covered him in terms of midfield, not the Manchester United trio. So I walk my team. Turner 1 point. I have only Cash 2. Trippier, we did mention that. I also have Trippier. Udogie, the frustration one, Spurs kept a clean sheet, but Udogie sub out before 60 minutes, so only 1 point. 5 points lost there. I can say that. I did not watch the Manchester United against Sheffield United match. We did expect a big one, especially Sheffield United at the bottom of the league right now, and he also the most considered in terms of goals. But Rashford continued to disappoint me. So pretty much he will be definitely not in many people team, and once you're wildcarded for sure. His price dropped again, I suppose, to 8.7, 8.6. But Bruno at least produced an assist and 2 bonus points. But for sure, he also on the chopping block because we expect a bigger than single-digit points, for sure, especially from me. Mbomo, 14 points there. Madison and Son we already touched. But I think that the transfer that I made was Wisa. And at least he's got a goal and 2 bonus points. Because Mbomo actually scored a goal and an assist and got all 3 bonus points. So other alternative from Visa that we discussed, the like of Solanke, he scored 7 points, so not that far. I think Chris Wood better we touch. He got the bigger points from Visa.
Yeah, and unfortunately you couldn't stretch for Watkins, right? You were short, if I remember correctly.
And also Alvarez, I cannot reach for that.
But otherwise, I think it's it was a good turnout for you, and the transfer you made was okay. For Wisa, you have two more transfers, or still just one?
I just transfer wide and do not take any hit, but I dodge another Salah point, that for sure, and I cannot ignore Salah anymore. He will be in my team in game week 10.
Yeah, I guess the only other problem was, of course, arguably have taken out Rashford as well and got someone in that would have given more points. But that's water under the bridge now. But well done, good job. Without having to wildcard, you still managed 84, so that's pretty good.
Yep. Yep. So moving forward to your team, you scored 75 points for sure, over average points for this week, 67. Can you walk with three?
All right, so my transfers this week were I took a hit to bring in Simikas and Gordon. So Gordon was for Eze, who was injured anyway. Simikas was for, oh my god, I don't remember who Simikas was for.
Is it Kabori?
Yeah, Kabore. There you go. Yeah. So all in all, both transfers paid off, and it was the right option in terms of bench. So the only so Simikas gave a clean sheet, and he was subbed off early, by the way. So a bit of a worry there, because it looks like a tactical thing. But as long as it's after 60 minutes, I'll talk to Klopp about that one. Sub off with a clean sheet, I'm fine. At 4.3, I'm not gonna expect much. Anything other than a CS is a bonus. So again, my biggest failure in the attack. If you look at it, only one person failed to perform, and it is of course Mr. Rashford. So and we got to. I mean, it was the last chance for him, but based on what we saw, it was bad. It was really bad. And considering this was against Sheffield, I think if let's say if Manchester United were in form, you may have even got to the point where you consider captaining a Manchester United player if Manchester United were in that form that you showed last season. But this season, with how Manchester United were, we weren't even considering captaining against the worst team on the league, which is Sheffield United. Plus the fact that those who wildcarded in Gameweek 9 actually dumped him. So it goes to show just how poor Manchester United really are. The fact that they just made off with 2-1, I think they got lucky there. I have to say, it's not, they shouldn't be too, they're happy about it, but not too, although they also won in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again,
barely, yeah, can I say?
Yeah, barely. So just like this match, barely. So yeah, they can't rest on their laurels.
Right. Okay.
So moving on to the rest of the team. So yeah, Salah and Mbeumo fine. Gordon, I'm happy with. I'm glad I picked a Newcastle midfielder who scored. Although theoretically, Jacob Murphy was the best pick, but there's no way we were going to pick him because that was his first start of the season. And he started in place of Almiron, and he did really, really well. Goal, assist. He topped it up, but we don't know he'll keep his place or Almiron. That's doubtful, so we don't know. So Darwin returned, and I didn't expect him to start, to be fair, but I was hoping with everyone back. But I'm just happy that he came in and gave an assist. And of course, Salah, I'm glad to have him. But again, I did score less than others, even though I still had the rank rise. But the main thing is because of those Spurs players. Son and Madison, as well as Trippier. So those made the difference.
Yeah, understand.
But otherwise, I'm okay with.
After seeing your team again, I think I can understand why you still hesitant to wildcard, because you already have Salah in your team, and most of wildcarders that are doing this week is because they want to get rid of all the Manchester United asset and distribute back the budget to Mo Salah, but you already have him in place. So I think maybe that's why you think that you might not necessarily need it. That's and then we can talk about Spurs headset, because if we wildcard like me, which you touch later, we might not accommodate all those Spurs players if you want to other assets like Arsenal or the Brighton or the Villa or the West Ham, right? So I think that's pretty much the story. So I can understand, and you already also said, can I say that maybe unconsciously you got that 3 Liverpool players set up for the run-in?
Yeah, so yeah, the Liverpool players was nice to have, in considering the current fixtures that they face. Looking at it, I think I mentioned earlier, Rashford is the big question mark as they play City, and the keeper. I need to do something about the keeper, so we'll see.
Okay.
Ward-Prowse isn't performing as well because he looks like he is really playing in defense. You know, if I have to only rely on the set pieces a lot, then that's going to be tough. So we'll have to see about that one. But yeah, but if I followed your advice, Hafiz last week and benched White instead, I would have gotten 2 extra points. Not a lot, but yeah, we'll see. We'll
All
see
right,
that game.
fair. I think let's talk about the game week 9 itself. The top captain for game week 9, for sure, we did mention Haaland, captain by 6 million managers. He only got 8 points, only 1 goal and 2 bonus points, if I'm right. But Salah continue back to back double digit points. I think last week 15, now 16 points, and only captain by 1.24 million manager. And the other one who continue be inconsistent, but this week it is the right one to captain him for the 850,000 managers for at least got that 40 points reward. So looking at this top 3 top captaincy moving forward, for sure this is the conversation, the Haaland, the Salah and Son. But I can feel, man, the sense that Mo Salah is back in form and he is the one that we should be captaining moving forward. What do you think, man?
Yeah, he's the overriding favorite for captain starting this week onwards. You know, especially this week they play Nottingham Forest. So yeah, I mean, on my part, I do regret not captaining him because, you know, as much because I knew that he was, you know, he wasn't affected by early match syndrome, you know, but I was kind of fooled by
Oh, you
Everton's
did
defense.
think about captaining Salah, right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did, but because I was thinking Everton's defense have improved, and to be fair, it did improve, and we were lucky with a penalty and a extra time almost last minute goal kind of thing. Yeah, so yeah, it you know, and that's how his price punched up. But then that's the thing with Salah. Most of the time, you expect him to play 90 minutes, and
Yep.
you know, never discount the fact that he can score at any time. So Salah still remains the main man for Liverpool. Now, Son Heung-min, who also stepped up as main man for Spurs, looking at the way he scored one of those goals in the last, that's such a striker goal, and you know, it's
Okay.
amazing how he's adapted. Although I'm now wondering how the hell do I get Son into my team because it doesn't look like I have space at the moment, so I have to hope the rest of my team makes up for it.
Okay. I do understand how the community talk about not going for Haaland into your wildcard team or even ditch him. We saw some of the content creator like FPL Raptor who actually do not have Haaland in his team. So maybe this justified if let's say Salah and Son combination could actually be your captaincy alternative. So,
Yep.
but I'm still not sure. I mean, going
It's
Haalandless. What do you think?
I don't know. I do feel it's also down to Alvarez. In Alvarez, they have an additional outlet, and plus the fact after last season, maybe a lot of teams are marking Haaland extra, knowing what he's
Okay.
capable of. But that's the result, leaving Alvarez free. So that is something that I have a question about. So I'm not planning to sell Haaland this week because I'm not wildcarding. But you know,
Okay.
it's definitely something I have to consider week by week, depending on how they play. Because it does seem like Haaland is not getting as much service as he would have liked.
All right, fair. But I just want to highlight in terms of top scorer right now in real life, not FPL. Haaland already scored 9 goals. Salah and Son 7 goals. So you can see Haaland still the top dog in terms of most goals scored. Okay, let's go the team of the week. Just a quickly one. Azmin did mention the most top performer for this week is Jacob Murphy, 17 points. We are not going to go there, right? In terms of Newcastle asset. The total 137 points. Who actually made into the game week 9 team of the week? We have Alisson, 8 points there. Liverpool do keep a clean sheet, but maybe there's some surprises in here. No Manchester United asset in midfield or attack, but Dowlaw, the one that people are talking, 11 points. So he got a goal and 3 bonus points for sure. And he's priced at 4.9. I'm still doubt about him, but he make into this team. So a reminder
If,
of.
if I remember correctly, he was in the scout pick that you showed last week,
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
He was
Yeah.
there. So there you go.
Okay. Fair. If you go with Dalot, so he made into this. Trippier 10 points, no surprise. Continue to take. Romero 8 points, 2 bonus point. I think he continued to deliver that bonus magnet, man. So I think if you want a consistent Spurs player defense, Udogi maybe still iffy in terms of minutes. We are not sure. Pedro a bit higher in terms of price, 5.2 is it? Romero is still 4.8 somewhere there, and he is definitely the permanent fixture for Spurs defense.
Yes.
Other than that, with Salah 60 point, Douglas Lewis also another conversation in completely if you want a budget enabler, 15 points from him. He is the penalty taker for Aston Villa, and Aston Villa has been really performed. I think for the past 10 game weeks at home, Villa has won all his matches. And it's a big one this week against West Ham. So I think that's clearly a statement from Unai Emery team. They are on form for sure. Mudrik, a surprise one for sure. Arsenal, Chelsea, we do not expect Chelsea to produce anything against Arsenal, but they turned up and Mudrik actually scored a goal and 1 assist. I don't know whether that's a fluke or not. People talk about that his second goal where Raya out of position, but I can see that Mudrik might not meant for that ball to go into the net, but it is what it is. Mbomo 40 points. People talk about Mbomo essential somewhere in game week 3. And then later he actually did inform and then he surfaced back 40 points. I can still remember people talk about Mbomo, a season keeper at 6.5 million, take all the free kicks and so on. He's on penalty taker and talisman for Brentford. So I think he reminds us that he can actually produce double digit at any point. Chris Wood, the one that we don't expect, but we do expect Forest to win against Luton Town, but he produced that two goals and 3 bonus points, I suppose, 13 points. And Watkins, I think he is really on fire and definitely in our consideration in terms of, especially in the Wildcard team. What do you think, man? You're on mute, man.
I do feel guilty between Wood and Wisa. I told you that I don't rate Wood and Wisa was the one to go for. So that's on me. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, it does. But and plus the fact you were gonna wildcard next week anyway. But yeah, win some, lose some. The thing with Mbuemo is, and I'm not, as much as I love the points that I get from, I'm not happy with the fact that I have to go through some spells where he's just not doing anything or just blanking. It's frustrating. I think last week if I didn't have any easy to sell, I might definitely have sold Mbuemo last week, but a possible option to sell. So I'm actually thinking of selling him this week, depending if I don't sell a keeper, I just sell Rashford and one other, and it could very well be Mbuemo. So I want to get someone more stable and maybe look at getting a Spurs midfielder in. Yeah, so let's see about that. But the other thing is Mudrik. I think Mudrik is there. I don't think it's a, and even though it may be a fluke, but it definitely gives him confidence. It will give him some extra confidence in terms of scoring in the future matches. So definitely want to look at.
Okay, man. I think that's we touched about game week. Just quickly one on the result of game week 9. We have 6 home wins for team in playing at home. Only two away wins, 4 clean sheets, and 33 goals scored in game week 9. I think the big one in terms of high scoring game, Newcastle 4 against Crystal Palace. I think people don't expect that. Maybe we expect Newcastle to have a better tight match, but Newcastle really drilled Crystal Palace 4-0. Another big win, Aston Villa against West Ham. I think this definitely people won't talk about it because West Ham is a decent team, but Aston Villa steamroll West Ham at home 4-1. We did mention on that. Another big one, maybe Brentford against Burnley, but we do expect that because Burnley has been not in form for sure, and Brentford took that advantage and come back to form because they also really struggle in terms of getting points. So other than that, we expect a big win for Man City against Brighton, a high scoring game, but it's a low one. Can I say that? 2-1 only. And then Chelsea Arsenal. I think maybe I just touch about that because I thought that the Chelsea are not going to up to the task. They actually, can I say, drop the point. I really frustrated in terms of dropping that points in terms of but that's how is it. Maybe Arsenal has that form of championship, a champion to be a champion and getting from nothing to that getting a draw. So what do you think, Mitch?
Right. Well, I guess firstly for the Newcastle Crystal Palace, I expected that. It was the reason I really wanted was priority was getting a Newcastle someone who could deliver attacking points in, because when I had this discussion on Twitter as well, because when I looked at the Crystal Palace, supposedly defensively tight, but the only attacking strong attack defense. Sorry, the only strong attacks they faced was Aston Villa, and they lost. They got trashed by Aston Villa, and they did only lose 1-0 to Arsenal, but that was in the second week, and where Arsenal was still Arteta was fiddling around with his lineup and with Partey at right back, that kind of thing. So I questioned whether or not Crystal Palace was as defensively sound against stronger sides, and they did concede 2 goals against Wolves, who are looking a much better attacking team these days. So yeah, so obviously I'm just relieved that it wasn't a popular player who hogged the scores, which was Jacob Murphy. Though Trippier still as typically helped himself to his clean sheet and bonus points, but it's definitely something to look moving forward, because next week Crystal Palace are at home, and there's another narrative about how defensive they've only let in 2 goals, but I can't remember who they face. I think they face another attackingly sound opponent as well, which is
I
Spurs.
think it's Spurs. I think it's Spurs.
It's
Yeah.
Spurs. So yeah. So I do not recommend people letting go of the Spurs defenders in the Spurs attack in the wildcard, because I think that's a game that Spurs can win. They win well. The only thing is that they have a shorter rest period compared to Palace, but I don't think it's a big deal. It's only like an extra day. So yeah, definitely Crystal Palace are not as defensively sound as the statistics seem to say. Team supposedly strong that they kept a clean sheet was against Manchester United, so which doesn't say much anyway. So yeah.
All right. Okay. Maybe I forgot to touch about Sheffield United versus Manchester United. We expect Manchester to at least have a big game against Sheffield United. They did not. They barely win this game. 2-1. Scott McTominay actually involved in this another goal from Manchester United. But in the end, Adalo who actually scored that winning goal. So pretty much no big performance from Rashford and Bruno. And I think easily there is a lot of justification to remove those Manchester United asset and jump into other player. And Spurs did tick again 2-0 against Fulham. We did touch about Son, Madison involved. It's going to be hard to have all those players inside the wildcard team for sure.
Yeah. I want to just talk about the Chelsea Arsenal game. So that was a game where it was a question: are Chelsea the good Chelsea back? Yeah, and they may well be, actually, because Arsenal were having problems dealing with them. Dodgy referee decisions aside, it will definitely be one where more Pochettino can take in the bag. I mean, they held the current, held Arsenal to a draw, so that's pretty good. Although he would have been frustrated at the manner they lost the leads, from origin leadings. But it's definitely something, a lot of positives for Chelsea. And on the Arsenal side, yeah, so we have Saka coming back as well. Yeah, and just in time for people to walk out, you to have him in the lineups. The Manchester United Sheffield is that despite them winning, that is the exact example of why we do not want Manchester United in our lineups now, because against the worst team in the league, both attack and defense, by the way, they are the worst. You would expect you'd like them to keep a clean sheet and score a truckload of goals, which didn't happen. So yeah, it's sad, but we got to get rid. The West Ham Aston Villa game, West Ham are actually defensively bad, but again, against the attacking side like Aston Villa, they get trashed, and it's something to bear in mind when picking players who play West Ham.
But this is actually a good audition coming into game week 10, because if any of Villa accept blank against West Ham, for sure we might rethink. But especially when we talk about Watkins, he scored another WG point. I think he actually sealed his place that you need to have him now over the likes of maybe Alvarez and Darwin. That's what people are thinking now, and his price already keep ticking in terms of price rising. It's 8.3 right now. So really, if you want him, I think the next match we touch a bit later is Luton. So it's
So
at home somewhere.
yeah. So the question there for the wildcarders is where you getting the space from? You know, because most of us have a third non-playing strike. Well, not non-playing, but Archer as your third striker, and then you'd have Haaland. A lot of teams have Haaland and Alvarez. So do you sacrifice Alvarez there, even considering his form, in hope in expectation that Watkins will perform better anyway, or do you sacrifice Haaland, which is a question that a lot of people are asking.
Okay, man, let's jump to the fixture swing. We put Game Week 9 behind us and look forward. So I just want to mention this is fixture ticker from Fantasy Football Scout member area for the next 8 matches. As we can see, I think I just want to point out, people are talking about Arsenal, we're talking about Liverpool, we're talking about Villa, West Ham, Brighton in terms of fixture swing. So we take a look at the fixture ticker, we can see West Ham on top. So there's no surprise moving forward. They have really good fixture coming up. Only Spurs inside in the next 8 games, because that is the only top 6 club that I can mention. The rest is really Everton, Brentford, Forest, Burnley, Crystal Palace, Fulham and Wolves. So I can see that you can put, say, the likes of Bowen, or you have Ward-Prowse. It is logical to have one of those representatives in this West Ham team in terms of attacking position. Other than that, Brighton also have decent fixture there. The only maybe the talking point is whether we can trust Rizzabi, who he's going to play. So I think that is the only question. The fixtures are there. So, and then another big injury from Solimash. I hear about that. And people already talk about who going to replace Solimash in terms of attacking. The likes of Adingra, I heard, at 5 million. Maybe he's actually the enabler that you can get. Liverpool, for sure, you have to have Mo Salah in your team. I think he is essential. Can I say that? I stamp Mo Salah. You need to have. Maybe he's the number one player that you need to have over even Haaland. I think at this juncture, for sure. Other than that, Burnley, yes, but we are not looking at that. Arsenal, 5th on the season ticker. So they're also moving into a really good run. Only Newcastle there in the next 8. Other than that, Sheffield United, Burnley, Brentford, Wolves, Luton, Villa, Brighton. So you really can just put 2-3 Arsenal players there. So what do you think, man?
Okay, yeah. So Brighton is the team that a lot of people are overlooking by sheer fact because of the uncertainty of the lineup. So that is going to be a big problem moving ahead. But when you look at the pictures, you got Sheffield United in there, Burnley in there, Everton, Fulham in there. So it's definitely one to beat. Now, it's funny that Liverpool have dropped to third. I would think it's by virtue of West Ham just having overall better, because when you look at West Ham's fixtures, it really is only Spurs that are the tough match at Stamford, but at Spurs home ground, because Liverpool they lost Everton and gained Manchester United, yet somehow dropped to third. It doesn't make sense to me. I think they should still be up there as well, because it's Manchester United. It's not a defensively strong unit anyway at the moment. So, but when you look at Liverpool, especially at the start, they faced Forest and Luton and Brentford at home. So the first 3 is great, and then only then Manchester City, which is the only real tough match. After that is Fulham, Sheffield, Crystal Palace, and Manchester United. So I think a lot of people are carding into seeing, maybe, I don't know if people are carding into more than Salah, get Salah and one other, or
or is it because you have the likes of Bowen also taking up space in the midfield up there and fixture thing? Burnley, I know we're not talking about that. You do have Foster there who can easily come in if someone goes absent. Playing against Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, there's definitely potential there. Arsenal, so they lost Jesus last night, so it'll be interesting to see how that shapes up. But when you look at that, Sheffield United is the tough one, then followed by a very tough match against Newcastle. But after that, it's almost smooth sailing with only Villa and an issue there. But Villa are not as defensively sound as not they are not as good defensively as they are attacking. So definitely it's something to look at. Wolves, I think let's not. I mean, I didn't really talk about the fixtures, the last week's fixtures, but Huang and Neto continue to perform. They're not scoring loads points, but they're taking over nicely. So at their price point, that's pretty much what you want from them. And they do face the next tough match, which is Newcastle, but in the middle there are some good matches there as well. But if you don't have them now, you're probably not going to put them in until after this split. Even the Arsenal match. That's why, because even though they're at the top, but then it's tough match, easy match, tough match, easy match, tough match, and then easy. So you might wait until game week 15 only.
Yep, yeah, I can say that. Another team that I just want to touch, even though they are somewhere at the bottom, Aston Villa, at least for the next three, they have Luton Town, they have Forest, and then they have Fulham. So I can see that the appeal of getting Watkins in your team and attack these three fixtures at least.
Sorry, what was that?
Watkins and Aston Villa, because they have Luton Town, Forest, and Fulham in the next three.
Yeah.
So that's the appeal.
Exactly. So you definitely still have to look, because this fixture assessment is based on 8 matches in total. But the reason why Watkins in Luton, Forest, and Fulham just look very drip. So you might want to have them at least for the next 3, and then after that decide what you want to do. So someone like me who has limited transfers because not wildcarding, I have to consider the other options out there, like Douglas Lewis or Diaby. So something to look at.
I mean, we touch a bit in Man City fixture. Maybe they are on a hard run. They have Manchester, maybe not much. Bournemouth appealing at 11. Then after that, they have Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, Villa. So maybe there is some. But I still rate Man City as the best team in the league. So regardless what fixture, but there's some tough fixture going on there.
Yeah, I admit the first Manchester United and Bournemouth don't concern me. I'm definitely keeping Haaland for sure. Against Chelsea, that is when I start to consider, and whether or not he's essential. But for now, he stays in my team.
Right, man. We touched about the fixture. Let's go to some game week 10 template or draft so far. I want to touch this. Actually, I saw the burning question stream yesterday, Harry and also Sonaldo. But I just want to touch a bit because they really discuss in terms of template. But I just want to mention, if money is not an issue, this is what they presented in the stream. The likes of Trippier, you want him in your team if money is not an issue. Gabriel and Cash in defense. I think in terms of goalkeeper, you cannot argue. You go the cheap combo Arola and Turner. Even people talk about maybe you do not need Turner and just rely on Arola, because West Ham really have decent fixture until for the next 8. At least Turner you can go like Strashuka 3.9 and just play Arola if you want to save some budget there. So I think that's an option. Other than that, you would like to have this player in your team: Saka, Son, Bowen because of fixture, Salah for sure. Maybe to an extent 6.5 million whether Mitoma or Derby. And then Haaland and Watkins, the ideal so-called in terms of pick. But we cannot have this team for sure because it needs like 100, 405 team value. even though you go cheap in there. So this is where you need to prioritize into which player, especially the top dog that you want. And inside here, if you mention, if for myself, I think the top three, Salah, Haaland, and Son, looks maybe the one that you need to have first in your sheet. But I'm not sure. What do you think, man?
It's a tough one. Try to figure out who is essential, who's not, and you got Son. Okay, so Son plays Crystal Palace, Saka plays Sheffield, Bowen plays Everton, Salah Forest, Mitoma plays Fulham. These are all good matchups. Haaland plays United and Watkins plays Luton. It's crazy. So if you had to discount, I don't know how much was this again?
Like 105.
105, yeah. So you would want to, if you're gonna discount, sell cash, go without cash or go without.
So
Yeah.
So basically, you need to make sacrifices. So I think if you want really decent attacks, especially, I think it's reasonable. You need to let go Trippier, even though I have a lot of value, not so a lot, but at least some value there because I had him since game week. Is it 6 or 7?
Yeah. Plus the fact that you have Simikas there on the bench, so he can come into your first 11. So arguably, and this is a bit controversial, arguably you'd wonder whether Mitoma can still do the job because Brighton's lineup keeps changing. Although to be fair, the people who come in still manage to somehow perform or score goals or whatever, but we have no idea who they are. But it does raise some doubts about Brighton's consistency. And now we got Solly March injured as well, adding to the other injuries as well. So it's starting to pile up. And Mitoma could be your next option if you were not to have one. Then you'd probably want to sell. You might want to sell Gabriel. Find a cheaper player. So definitely you can have because Gabriel is how much?
4.7.
Okay, and is Pedro Porro? What's his current
I
price?
think 5 million plus, right? 5.2.
Oh, it's more expensive. Yeah, Destiny Doggy is 4.9.
So cash
It's a tough one.
is 5 million, 5.1, 5.2 now.
Yeah, so
like
sell someone like Cash, and put in the dumps for filler, and Simikas comes up because Simikas can just do a good job as well. Yeah.
So this is where that we need to make sacrifice. I just want to mention, although I like Trippier and Trippier has been consistent, but I think he's the one that need to be cut from my team in terms of value because there are some cheap value that we can get from defense and put those money upfront. So I just want to share to all viewers also. My team value is quite low. To be frank, when I saw back my team value is like 100.4. So means that I do not have like even 1 million over than the face value of 100 million. So you can see I'm also struggling to fix my team. So I actually have drafted some team with a lot of we shall see now what kind of option that I can have because for sure I will not have Trippier in my team. So if you really like Trippier moving forward, he still have some decent fixture and then you prioritize him. So this will not be a part of your draft for sure. Let's go to the first one because the first one Trippier, but I'm not gonna have him because Trippier will take some space into the team. So we go to the next one. If I want Son, okay, in my team, for sure I highlight that I'm not gonna be able to have Bowen. I will stick with Arola Turner combo and go cheap in the famine. I still want cash, but that's still something that we can talk about. Simikas 4.4. I got him. He already rise to 4.5. Gabriel 4.7. I have Arsenal defense, and then I go cheap there. 4.0 defender and 3.9 Taylor and Brentwaite. But I really gonna have trouble if any player missing there. Okay. And then in midfield I have the like of Salah, Saka, and Son. I think that's those three are the main midfielder that you want. But then after that, I have Mitoma and Palmer at 5 million as a cheap midfield. I wouldn't have money for Bowen unless I sacrifice upfront, because I do feel I want Watkins and Haaland upfront. So those are the draft if I have Son. So maybe your first reaction, me.
Okay, can you go back to the previous draft? Can you just scroll through quickly?
The first one.
Yeah, go back to the first and just flip one by one.
Okay.
One more. Okay, so never mind. So go to your first page after the unlimited, the next draft. Okay, then the next one. Keep going until the end. I want to see.
Oh, okay. The next one I have Madison instead of Son, but I have Bowen in my team. I think that's the difference.
And the last one, is this the last one?
Yeah, okay, the last one, I do not have any Spurs asset, of which I have more option in midfield, Bowen, Mitoma, and Daibi. So I spread the fund.
Yeah, because now you're doubling up with Watkins and Diaby, so I don't know if it's worth it to not have any Spurs. I feel that having you need a Spurs player somewhere there. But the other thing I realized is that you've decided Alvarez is no longer worth it.
I think Alvarez can still be an option at 7 million. But if let's say I have Alvarez, for sure inside my team I need to sacrifice a slot there, maybe
Bowen.
Maybe. So, but
people
think
that Alvarez is out of the picture. Why is that? Why do you feel that?
For now, because I have not tasted Alvarez so far in Manchester until
you have not what? Sorry?
I have not had Alvarez so far. So because I do feel that Alvarez important, but I also want to see whether there's other players from attack the fixture, the West Ham, the Villa. But Alvarez still can be an option at upfront, but I still want Watkins there because I think for the next
you can have Watkins. So I guess the question the is to if you consider the last few matches, if you want to sacrifice someone from that city, it'll be Haaland and not Alvarez. But that will give you a lot of funds to get any team you need. So
fair. But
but it's hard, I mean, because we know Haaland from last season, he's just capable of scoring anytime. So yeah, but I do feel having the Arsenal, in your case, Saka it's hard not to go without, considering it's against Sheffield, and you're looking at Arsenal frustrated at being held against Chelsea to a 2-2. Yeah, so I think they're gonna have to make that mark again. And
I think the one consideration that we need to make: do we need a Spurs asset moving forward? I think that's the question. If we want, in which form is Son or Madison? Right. I think that's the question, right, mate?
Even a defender.
Yeah. Do we want a Spurs asset moving forward? Is because Spurs are on top of the table right now. So in terms of form, they are there. So it is a bit ridiculous not to have any representative, right?
Yeah, it is. And because obviously there's a reason I'm down there is because I don't have Spurs players. And you'd have to think that being at the top, aside from Pedro Porro now, I do, but I think you should have one of Son or Madison. I think you can't not have them because they are in good form right now. They're at the top of the table. It's too much of a risk. Yeah, I mean, we really have to hope that all your other players will will help to overcome not having those Spurs players, because as it is, because I feel that people are dumping Spurs players because they play against Crystal Palace. The next match was Crystal Palace, who theoretically is supposed to be a tough match, but we saw Villa trash. We saw them go down 4-0 against Newcastle. So I would argue that
if you feel that I need at least one representative from Spurs. So it goes down to only between these two draft.
Yeah.
The Sun draft, of which if I have Sun, I will not have Bowen for sure. I will have Mitoma and Palmer. But if I want if I want to downgrade Sun, I will have Bowen and Madison combo. So I think that's a Madison, Bowen, or Mitoma, Sun. I think that's the combo that I have to take. Sun, Mitoma, or Madison, Bowen. So what is better?
I would go Bowen Madison. Yeah, I just feel that Mitoma for me is a question mark. Yeah, so I would go for Bowen Madison. And can you go back to the fixtures quickly?
Okay, boleh.
The thing with Brighton is that they have great fixtures. The problem with them is that they have a questionable lineup. So Spurs are really at the bottom half of that table, but they are the number one team in top form. So it doesn't really matter how the fixture swing is because they are in form and they're capable of taking on any opposition. Yeah. Brighton, I'm worried that against Everton, they will squeak to a halt. Everton away. Yeah, but then Sheffield and Forest look tasty again. Yeah, but I would sacrifice Mitoma. I just feel that the other options in his place will do much better.
I think also another flexibility that I need to have is the likes of Alvarez or Darwin could be my third option in attack and just sacrifice in midfield. So that could be another option that I need to make myself clear that those options are available when we see about during the European matches coming up, Liverpool and also Man City, right? So if let's say we see Alvarez do not start or even David do not start they have a better chance to feature in this game. Home at Forest, if Darwin starts, then he might actually produce points. And also Alvarez against Manchester away, that is not maybe hard on paper, but not exactly because in terms of talking about Manchester United form. You're on mute, me.
The problem with Darwin is that it always comes at a risk because of those international matches menace. The international break menace. You know what? Because the next international break is between game week 12 and game week 13. After that, they play Manchester City, which is already the toughest matchup. And guess what time they play? They're the first match again.
Another lunch off, yeah.
so I don't know what to say to that. So having that Darwin will always come at that risk if you're ready to take that on, as I was for this week. For game week 9, I was ready to take a risk. He did give an assist, but not as much possible. So you have to accept that it will come with that risk because I do feel that he's coming in good form, really good form for internationally as well. For his team Uruguay, he's definitely stepped up a gear, and I think he definitely has what it takes. He's definitely better than Jota at the moment, so he will start ahead of Jota.
Okay, fair. Okay, those are the wildcard team that I'm gonna consider for sure, and we can talk about deadline during our deadline streaming. But may I say, game week 10 fixture, the deadline will be on Friday night, so we should not miss that. It's not on Saturday. It will be on Friday night because the first kickoff will be Palace versus Spurs on Friday night, 3 a.m. And then after that, on Saturday, we have Chelsea versus Brentford as an early kickoff. And then we have Arsenal versus Sheffield United. This is a big money ball game, can I say? Arsenal against Sheffield United, and then Bournemouth versus Burnley. Both are desperate for points because both are really somewhere down there. And then during Saturday midnight, we have Wolves versus Newcastle. Newcastle should win this game, but Wolves has been, in terms of form, they are not bad. And on Sunday, we have plenty of matches. West Ham versus Everton. We have Villa versus Luton Town, another money ball game. We have Brighton versus Fulham. They can actually trash Fulham again. We have Liverpool versus Forest. We expect a big haul from Liverpool for sure. and the big one, Manchester Derby. So, what interests you in terms of Game Week 10 fixture?
Well, firstly, I just want to point out that ironically, I'm actually happy that there's an early Friday night match. Hang on, just a minute. Yeah, so I'm quite happy that there's an early match. So I kind of miss it for some reason. So yeah,
Okay.
but in terms of overall matchups, definitely there's a lot of stand-up matchups, and it's the reason why a lot of people are wildcarding. Arsenal versus Sheffield, Aston Villa versus Luton, Liverpool versus Forest, City versus United, Brighton versus Fulham. Those are all Spurs versus Palace. I keep forgetting to overlook that again. These are all points, potential for points. So it's just case of finding the right people to score, who will score at the right time. But it's just hard to tell. And frankly speaking, there's a lot of combinations, and it could swing. Anything can happen. It should be a high scoring week this week.
Okay. All right, me. I will interested to see this Game Week 10, but this is where it is. We have to finalize our team before the Friday night deadline. A quick one, man, in terms of captain pin for this week. Also, plenty of option, even though a lot of traffic going for Salah captaincy, 44% from Fantasy Football Scout poll. But there's no surprise. The demand on Watkins in terms of feature against Luton Town, Saka against Sheffield United. Okay, Khalid and Son make it in the top 5. Clearly, Salah is looks like the right captaincy for this week. But if you want to go rogue, I think Watkins and Saka might not be a bad choice, man. What do you think? You're on mute, man.
There's always been this popular theory where why would you have expensive players like Salah or Haaland if you're not planning to captain them regularly? And then suddenly now Watkins has come out, and then everyone's ignoring that argument suddenly, and because Watkins is doing well, so and he scores, and then the thing is Watkins is, another feature that we would like of our captains is that he's the penalty taker. Watkins isn't a penalty taker, so I'm worried that we're just being a bit too swayed by current events, where Watkins is definitely in, but is he worth captaining? At the same time, Haaland continues to be in picture, but Haaland, to be fair, he, I really, it is a worry as to the form he has suffered. At least, it's not so much City, but Haaland themselves not getting enough chances. Yeah. So, but of course, Salah follows that theory of in terms of pick your expensive players will deserve the captaincy more. But to be fair, Salah is really stepping up, and Liverpool are pushing into another gear right now. So, question now is why Watkins becomes an admirable better pick is because Luton are so much worse than Forest are. Forest are actually quite decent at the moment compared to Luton.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and the other contender is Sheffield United, who are the worst ever. But again, then you have to face that. No, Saka's not the one of your expensive players either. So why would you captain him? But you have to consider that it definitely is an option. And frankly speaking, for me, if let's say if I will have to between the three of them, I would look at Saka actually. Yeah.
Okay.
By virtue looking at the worst defense out of the three, Sheffield is the worst. Yeah. And the fact that and I need to discount Manchester United against them because that the problem there is Manchester United rather than Sheffield. Yeah.
I think this is the first time this season that we are not talking about Haaland as a captaincy option this week. But seeing the match, Manchester United is still someone that you can still go for in terms of captaincy. We still remind that Haaland scored big against Manchester United last season, a hat-trick and 2 assists, if I'm right. So what do you think, mate? Are we ignoring Haaland is a wrong thing to do?
Yeah, so I mean, I want to get to your team because you obviously you still got Haaland in your team, but who you captaining? Because then there's a question: if if we still believe that Haaland is the best player, are we just not captaining him based on matchup? because we feel that Manchester United is still decent enough, or are we caught up by the bias of Manchester United being arguably one of the big teams? So it's going to be a tough match. So I'm not sure, because part of me thinks that Haaland will step up against Manchester United, because it's one of those matches where I want to show that you are nothing, that and also the rivalry aside as well. Yeah, but are these arguments good enough to merit the captaincy? Based on current form, no, it's not. Yeah, so I will have Haaland in my team, but I can't see myself captaining him at this point.
All right, man. That's the captaincy option that we have this week. I think there's a lot of option this week, on paper at least. But for sure, we can see Salah already back-to-back form, 15 points, 60 points, double-digit consistent. And may I say this, Salah is now the top scorer player in FPL with 75 points. And then after that is Watkins, 70 points. And then Son, 68. So really, I think it is justifiable. And I think coming to my team, for sure, Salah is the one that I'm looking at. Okay, man. Let's go to your team, man. First, because I already ran my Wildcard draft team, I'll show it back later. This is your team, man. If I'm right, you have 0.2 million in the bank and 1 free transfer. You're on mute.
Last week I benched Pedro Watford instead of Pedro Porro. So this week is another benching dilemma issue for me. So my immediate transfer right now is Rashford, and with Rashford, I can get.
You can get anybody for sure.
No, I can't get Son. Yeah, I can't stretch for Son.
Okay, fair.
I can get Saka. So Saka is definitely comes into play. Or if I want that Spurs attacker talked about, then Madison comes into play. So it's I don't have space for Watkins because I want Darwin, and if I bring in Amduri in sell for Watkins, I could do that, but that means I have to downgrade Rashford a bit, and I can't, and it will be out the range of the likes of Saka. So I don't, even with Madison, I don't think I can afford Watkins there. So
I do feel that your Rashford to Saka is, I think that's the best move. I won't suggest Madison. He's playing away some more. So Saka, if he at home against Sheffield United, he really can damage against Sheffield United for sure. So I feel that the move is right.
Yeah, the other thing is because I'm not convinced that Brentford will do well against Chelsea. I think that Chelsea at home, they're gonna, they could potentially even keep a clean sheet. I just think that Brentford are erratic, a bit too erratic in terms of when they score and when they don't. So, and that is another question, because I could potentially move Gusto up as another defender, because I rate Gusto.
I think you have option for sure. You can play Porro or Gusto easily this week for sure.
Yeah. So I have to make that decision as to who to play, who to bench. Rashford to Saka or Rashford to Madison is almost a given. So the question is whether I want to just, then after that is a question of who to bench, or I can take a hit and bring someone in for my keeper. So yeah, that is something, because I feel that these keepers have run the course.
Who are you eyeing?
Well, the thing is, Pickford is more expensive than Turner, so Pickford goes, and I don't know. It's.
I mean, the template people go for Arola, which is a cheap keeper. But do you have any exciting goalkeeper pick?
I don't know. I don't have any. That's the problem. Fulham do concede, but at the same time he gets a lot of save points. What's his name? Neto, isn't it?
Leno.
Leno. Sorry. Neto is Wolves, right?
no, I'm getting myself mixed up.
Neto Bournemouth, Jose Sa, Wolf.
Oh, Bournemouth. Yeah. So I'm really not sure. Um, I I'm having problems there, because Flecken comes to the picture as well. Yeah, but I don't know if I want to spend extra money to get the likes of, let's say, Sanchez. Yeah, but then he doesn't have great. Yeah, but it's a bit of Chelsea. Yeah, fixture wise, or if I'm confident, then the Spurs keeper, Vicario.
5 million plus. You have the money?
Well, Rashford to Saka gives me a bit
Okay,
more. No,
alright.
I can't. I still can't afford. So I don't know. I need to do some research between now and see whether there's anything worthwhile for me to pick up. Yeah.
Yep. Are you? Do you want to go any like Arsenal keeper Raya?
Raya's position seems to be doubtful at the moment.
Okay, fine. Fair.
But I honestly don't understand the Arsenal fans. When Raya screws up and then they start singing Ramsdale.
Okay.
During the match, back your team, for crying out loud. Back whoever's there. Don't start making because when the keeper does end up making a mistake, you'd have to wonder, is it because his own fans are the team's own fans are making a stick out of him? So it's anyway. So that's not fantasy football, but it does. But the point is, it does make you wonder. Is David Raya gonna hang on to his position at the moment?
Okay, all right.
Because
That's your teammate.
Yeah. So just last one. So let's face it, we didn't see. I don't think I saw that coming. That Ramsdale will suddenly get replaced just like that, and Raya is clearly the number one now. So we'll see.
Okay. Champions League match. Raya did win, right? Did play, right?
Yes.
So I think he's comfortable to continue to play. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He still have the trust from Arteta.
All right. Your team.
Okay. Let me double check just to confirm. What is this? Yeah, Raya did start. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, my team will definitely will be my one of this wildcard draft. And for now, I'll show this because maybe this is the one that more sense to go in. I just touch in terms of Madison Bowen is there. I also like this team because I have some decent bench if something happened to the likes of Simicas or Gabriel, because Gal could come in. Although I still need 0.2 million in the to find and able to produce this team. I think I can easily downgrade Archer to Mubama and got that 0.2 million, or Gal to someone that. But I feel Gal is decent because he actually the staple in Crystal Palace team, and I need him when that Gameweek 13 Man City versus Liverpool, right? And I might not play Simicas and Guy could come in. I think he plays against Burnley, if I'm right. So I think that could easily rotate during that. And another option when Arsenal play Newcastle in game week 11. So Gabriel could, Guy could come in for Gabriel. So I think that's the one thing that I'm think that.
So Arsenal, Newcastle.
And Crystal Palace play who that week? If I'm right, he plays
Burnley. Palace play Burnley.
Yeah, so I think that's decent for sure. And then in game week 13, Crystal Palace play Luton Town. So
both
really nice.
Both are away though, but yeah, definitely.
But still decent.
But yeah, and then coming back to what I said earlier, against a good attacking sides, Crystal Palace are suspect, but against Luton and
Burnley, right?
Burnley, they can definitely have a good potential of keeping a clean sheet. Yeah.
So yeah, I think this can be a decent team for my wildcard for now. Okay, and looks like my captaincy for sure. I'm going for Salah. And maybe Watkins and my vice captain, but I'm still not ruling out Haaland. We shall see how the mood come into the Friday deadline.
Friday.
All right, man. I think we already wrap up in terms of our Game Week 10 pod for sure. Preview and do we have any? Yeah, I think some question from Arakan here. Maybe we go to that. Palmer or Douglas Luiz? Interesting, man. Interesting.
Oh, that's a tough one.
But
You go for Palmer. Sorry, you go for Palmer simply because in the Chelsea team, there's no one standout attacking option. It looks like there's plenty of you can look at Sterling, you can look at Palmer, but so at least you invest someone cheap in Palmer. At least you don't get too hurt if he doesn't do well. Yeah, the thing with Douglas Luiz is that Watkins is definitely the main man for Villa, but Douglas Luiz has been scoring very well in home matches. I think this week is also a home match. So, yeah.
So I feel if money not issue, maybe Douglas Luiz you can take a punt for the next 3 game and then move to Palmer once maybe Chelsea fixture are better in moving forward. But I think that could be a good punt for the next 2-3 weeks. Raya Areola or Areola Johnston? Yeah, Raya is a bit expensive. So maybe Johnston, man?
Johnston, that's it. I think that's who I should go for. So,
okay.
I mean, I'll have to look at the who he rotates better with, Turner or Pickford. But Johnston definitely, he should go whenever he has the tough matches. He leaves. So for example, Areola Johnston, game week 10, Areola, game week 11, Johnston, game week 12, Johnston, and game week 13 move Areola. Game week 13 can be both Areola or Johnston actually. I do it good. Yeah. So yeah. I think it works well. Areola Johnston, definitely. Right. By the way, in game week 14 they play against each other. But I go for Areola there because Crystal Palace's she is attacking ability is suspect. So.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. This question about Arsenal midfield, Saka or Martinelli. If you do not have the 8.5 million, Martinelli he covers at 7.7? What do you think, mate?
Yeah, I think he can. He's got the drive. He's got the motivation. So yeah, he's also Brazilian.
Yep. I think this also an interesting one. Maybe if let's say you're on Wildcard, you can actually get both. And say you don't want to play, you drop Son and Madison and get Saka, Martinelli combo and attack for the next 2-3 weeks. I think Sheffield United and Burnley right in the next 3. So maybe that's interesting one.
But they play Newcastle in game 11. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the only problem. Who to sell for Arsenal asset? We already talked about this, man. Madison or Son. It is going to be tough, right?
I don't know. If you sell Madison, can you buy? Do you have enough money to buy Arsenal? Because if you
so basically
Saka is okay, but going from the other way around.
Understand. Okay, understand. You got a point there. You did mention about Neto or Huang. I think Neto has been ticking and assists.
Both have been ticking. Not spectacular, but good enough. So for the prices, they happily take it. I don't know can I be out because if you had both, because this game week they play Newcastle, chances are they might not get anything. So, but long term wise, Neto is your more stable pick. Huang is your hero pick.
Rope pick. Another interesting question, man. Alvarez or Watkins?
So this is the one I dealt with for your wild card. Alvarez not being considered at all. So It's a Watkins, isn't it, at the moment?
It's going to be hard. I think Alvarez is really not a bad pick at all. It's just whether you want to take advantage of this Luton Town for the next 3 games for Aston Villa. But I think if you do not have enough money to stretch to Watkins, you can easily go to Alvarez for sure.
Let me experiment.
Mitoma or DIB? You interested?
Diaby.
Okay. I understand why you go to DIB because maybe he's more secure in terms of that. But I go to another perspective for rakyat MPL to think. If I have Watkins also, I'm thinking whether I want to double up with DIB. I did seek advice from FPL Zhao. Some advice from him. He prefer not. He prefer to hedge in terms of his pick, not to put all into one basket. So that's how he approach it. So if let's say we go there, maybe Mitoma. If you have Watkins up front, I'll pick Mitoma. If you don't want to go in one basket.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Bowen or Madison, if money is not a thing,
Madison, and the problem there is Everton, because honestly, I rate Everton's defense at the moment. I think Liverpool were quite lucky. So I think Everton's defense is definitely much better than how it used to be. So definitely something to think about.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for sure. I like both players, but Madison really one of the main talisman for Spurs, if not the talisman for Spurs. But in terms of fixture, West Ham is there, right? So it's going to be hard for sure. But I'll say Madison for now. All right, man. That's all we have for this week. Thank you all for Rakyat MPL question. Your last word before we wrap up?
It's gonna be a tough week. Just trying to figure out which one will score, because there is so many good matchups and so many good options. So there's so many possibilities. Add to that this is a popular wildcarding week as well, and it's gonna be interesting starting from the first match. And then for once the Spurs play the first, so you get that out of the way, and everything else, Spurs set that benchmark. I want to see what Chelsea do, whether the Chelsea's transformation is continuing. So yeah, and of course the big match. Well, not really the big match, but it is a spotlight of the Manchester derby that we got to see. Yeah, because we saw in midweek Manchester United win, and Harry Maguire was the hero. So let's see what happens this week.
I'm about to touch about Harry Maguire just a bit before we wrap up. If he's actually Eric Ten Hag trust and be permanent in that defense, partnering with Varane, Harry Maguire at 4.2 So maybe that something that we can think of. That could be an option, right? An enabler, right? Okay, that's all. Thank you guys for watching. Do hit the like button and support our FPL Jedi YouTube channel. And see you again in our deadline stream. Take care. Bye-bye.